Now, All Things Real Estate continues on Full Service Radio, 830 WCRN. Once again, here's your hosts, Gary Kelley and Brad Avergon.
Hi, and welcome to All Things Real Estate with Gary Kelley and
Brad Avergon.
Brad.
Gary.
I'm telling people right now, it's fasten the seatbelt time. What are your thoughts about that?
I am pleasantly, I wouldn't say I'm surprised because I expected it. When we did our last show, I was telling you I expected that a bit of euphoria would come as soon as we let people out of their homes. But I am just flat out. It has been absolutely crazy busy, which is great. And yeah, people are buying.
Let's give our listeners some context.
Okay.
The radio station does not want us to say that it's June 16th and does not want us to say we're in phase 2 of the Charlie Baker lower the shields process. But I think that's important for context because whatever has happened, it is a feeding frenzy out there for folks.
Absolutely.
It's a great time if you are a seller to try to sell your home. It's got to be priced right. You still have the basics. And if you're a buyer, the interest rates are still low. That's kind of your side of the house.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can't get better than where the rates are right now. I mean, it's really a great time to lock into that low fixed 30-year. And as the economy picks up speed, which it is doing, amazingly so, it's picking up a very rapid pace. Rates are going to rise. That's how the Fed, when as things start to get better, that's how the Fed controls things. They'll raise rates a little bit, and so they'll slow it so they don't worry about inflation.
So Brad, one of the things that we tell people right now is as you go out, you've got to have your ducks in a row. Okay. So I think in terms of the Boston Common, they've got the ducks all lined up. What are the things that we think are really important for people is to understand this is not the time to be faint of heart. It is a roller coaster. And there are people that when they go on a roller coaster, they go like this, hands up, and they scream and they're having a blast. And there are people that stand on the ground and say, oh my God, I don't have a clue how they're able to do that.
Right.
So
right.
From my perspective, it's important to have a team assembled in advance. And team is something that we as the realtor can help with, something you as the loan officer can help with. But some of the folks I think you need to have is, first of all, you, the loan officer.
Right. Yeah, it's been very interesting. So the deals that are out there, the listing agents are doing a lot more investigative work before they recommend to their sellers that an offer be accepted. So, and the reason for that is because there's a number of offers on the table. And I think a lot of our listeners would be surprised to hear that there are bidding wars out there. That yes, there's COVID-19, it's going on, yes, but you know what? There is we've gone long enough now that people are expecting that, I think we might survive this COVID-19 thing. And they're out there and they're looking at property. They're trying to get a place that they can live in, that they're going to, rather than pay rent. And people are putting aggressive offers on the table. And because supply is still an issue, which it's been for a number of years, it's not this COVID thing. It's been a number of years that houses don't turn over as much.
I actually want to have some facts around that for a second, Brad, because I think it's important. Right now, we have more or less in Massachusetts, single family, condo, multi, we've got roughly 12,000 houses on the market. What would you guess we had this time last year? I'm putting you on the spot.
You're totally putting me on the spot. 12,000 houses.
A year ago, we had 18,000 houses.
Really?
Yep, it was 17,700. So my point is, that one of the things driving the feeding frenzy is that you've got far fewer homes on the market. And I think that we could have a whole separate show on why that is. I know that I've got clients that are frankly afraid to put their home on the market. They're afraid to go out and look at another home because they're in that target age group. We also have folks that have said, oh my God, if we don't get going, we're going to miss this roller coaster. And so they're running on the platform to try to get back onto the train. And that's important too. So on the team, you want to have loan officer.
Yep.
Who else?
Realtor, you got to have a good realtor that's out there and making things, looking at the opportunities, looking for those houses, either before they come on the market, because Gary, you have your ear to the ground all the time, hearing about opportunities that may be coming up, and that's important, because if you get it before it hits MLS, that can be a great opportunity, or even through some of your relationships with other realtors. I know you do a fair amount of networking and have a great reputation with other realtors, and hearing about a property before it hits the multiple listing service, the MLS service, can make a big difference. It can allow folks to kind of get a jump on the rest of the crowd. But also, you bring a lot of resources to the table. Not all homes are, ready, have everything there, whether there be an electrical issue, there be a minor issue here, a minor issue there. Having that experience that you have, I think, with that insight brings a lot to your clients. And I think that you are very honest and open about that, and then, give them good advice.
Well, I think it's important that a buyer understand that every home's going to have a wart, and some homes need surgery, and other homes need to be tweaked. That's where I think part of the team, you've got to have a really good home inspector. And I have seen they're all licensed, but I would tell you that they're not all created equally. There are some home inspectors that seem to like to show how much they know, and they like to kill deals. And there are other ones that are like, listen, we're going to show you what we see. We're going to be balanced, and you have to make your own decision. And then there are others that, frankly, they sit on the couch, they sit there with a checklist, they go through their checklist, but I'm not really sure that the client is getting their full money's worth there.
Right.
But if there is an issue that comes up, that's where you've got to be able to say, listen, I've got a plumbing issue, and I've got to get a plumber in to take a look at this quickly before the end of the inspection process, so that I know whether this is a big deal or a little deal or it's manageable. Because professionals are the ones that are the key.
You're absolutely right, Gary. It's funny. Immediately before our show, what we're doing right now, I was on the phone with a client who is in the process of purchasing a property. He's got it under agreement. It needs major renovation work to it, and I was able to counsel him, and in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of things that I can do as far as structuring a deal so that they can do some of the renovations out of pocket, and create a lot of creative ways that I can help them get into a property. But at the end of the day, knowing the work that has to be done, having a scope of that budget, what is it going to cost you to do that? And then, quite frankly, increasing that budget by 20%, because you want to have that 20% contingency in there, that if you open up a wall and you find something, you want to have that in there. That type of experience, and building the team, having, my financial background, your real estate background, your ability to having owned a number of homes and such, and having that home inspector and the contractors. That's the other part. So that when you walk into a property, you're not looking on some sort of online service to figure out, well, what does it cost to replace an electrical system? You bring an electrician in, you somebody that can do the work, or you bring in is this foundation crack? Is it a big deal, or is it a settling crack? Is it something I need to be worried about? And I think having those types of contacts, having that type of knowledge, I think it's very, very important. It really can make or break a deal.
So, Brad, you just did some work at your home and redid the basement. Did you go into your 20% overage fund?
Well, did I go into? I went a little. I wouldn't say I went into a lot. I went into a little bit of it, but that was by choice. But I'm kind of I really cross my T's and dot my I's. Most of the contractors that work with me know that I'm gonna have my pencil out there and I'm gonna be calculating everything. So that's just the nature of what I do for a living and how I think. But most folks going into it they say, and again, I was doing a basement. So most folks going into it, if I'm doing my home as I did, I renovated my home, that went way over the budget because my wife was involved and we ended up getting some nice fixtures, things that I would have probably opted for a little bit more standard.
So Brad, I'd like to bring this segment to a close, and maybe when after the break, we come back and we spend some more time talking about how Cindy blows your renovation budget every time.
I'm in such trouble right now, Gary.
No, I think that the key isn't that. I think the key is having a conversation about, okay, if I get if I bake funds into my loan for renovation, how do I make sure that that is done sensibly and that I don't blow the budget and end up with a property that's not completely finished and instead of being someone's dream is the money pit?
Let's talk about that when we come back.
Sounds good. Come on back, everyone.
You've been listening to All Things Real Estate on Full Service Radio, 830 WCRN.